one of the photos the K-File found confirms that Epstein actually attended Donald Trump's wedding to Marla Maples. And this is the proof. Again, this has never been published before. So this is a new image. You haven't seen it out there on X or anything like that.
That's crazy. Epstein and Ghislaine were all up and down both the Clinton weddings and the Trump wedding. That's crazy. Like, Ghislaine was front and center for Chelsea Clinton's wedding. Okay. Ghislaine Maxwell was. And now we got info on Epstein being front and center at Trump's wedding. God damn, dude. These guys were everywhere.
This video has never been seen before in this context. It shows Trump talking to Jeffrey Epstein just before models hit the runway at the Victoria's Secret fashion show in New York in 1999. You know, the only other video we've seen of the two men was 7 years before this. Trump is at the show with Melania, who is, of course, now First Lady, seated a few...
Are you guys still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Give it up. Let it go. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's okay. I whispered in his ear. Come on, give it up. Stop talking about it. It's so boring. It's boring. Dude, you know what's going to blow a nut on this whole thing? I'm going to tell you what it is. There is going to be some info, I'm speculating, that actually ties Donald Trump to at least Ghislaine Maxwell far past the point of Jeffrey Epstein like breakup. Because like I said, a lot of this is from the time frame between the 90s and early 2000s. We know that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were involved with one another and good friends with one another. We didn't know how good friends they were. It seems like they were very good friends, very close. There is going to be something that shows that Donald Trump's actually ties to Jeffrey Epstein never ended after like early 2000, and that either through Ghislaine Maxwell or directly past the point of 2003 when there's like no known interaction between Trump and Jeffrey Epstein comes back out. That's not true. We do know that they were almost best friends, but there's much proof of this. No, I'm just saying, it feels to me like Trump is trying to hide something in their involvement. Like, it doesn't make any sense, because if I'm Trump, I'm flexing, okay? If I'm Trump, I'm flexing that I cut Jeffrey Epstein off far before anyone else did, before he was even popped by the feds for sex trafficking of minors. I found something suspicious. There's plausible deniability. You could just be like, you thought something was off and you just decided to sever ties with this guy. And it turns out it was a great idea, right? All the while, there are so many people, liberal elites, Republican elites, that kept up their relationship with Jeffrey Epstein even after he was arrested for sex trafficking minors and served a light, but still a prison sentence for sex trafficking minors. Like, people still kept a relationship with him. So the very fact that Trump doesn't talk about how smart he was ahead of time is awfully suspicious, because he loves gloating. He'd be like, Bill Gates, he loves Jeffrey Epstein, not me. I stopped talking to Jeffrey. We were good friends at a time, and it was a mistake. I thought he was weird. I stopped talking to him, and then lo and behold, turns out he was a pedophile. But then Bill Gates, he kept talking to him. He went and he met him after he knew he was a pedophile, right? Like, isn't that something that Trump would say? Bill Clinton. Did MAGA just not know that there were a ton of pictures like this before last month? No, there were a ton of pictures, but this is new. There were like 50 photos of Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump side by side in lockstep, arm to arm. But this is still new. Isn't that crazy that there is even more relationship that we did not know about, even though we knew that there was a relationship? The fact that he isn't hammering on the Clintons and is instead trying to suggest they made up the Epstein files, somehow put themselves in there, is just every kind of sus. I agree. He's been acting very different about this Epstein shit. Like, very different than the way he normally would. He's Teflon Don after all, right? Isn't he Teflon Don? If he did the RFK Jr. thing and just like volunteered this information ahead of time and was like, yeah, he was a bad guy, real bad guy, didn't know how bad of a guy he was, but I felt like something was off and that's why I stopped being friends with him. And then it came out he was a real bad guy. But all these liberal Democrats, they all kept being his friend. They kept inviting him to weddings. I never invited him to a wedding after my last wedding. You know, that kind of.
Right. But this, of course, establishes them together and obviously very friendly in 1999. So, Andrew, when you get all this and all of this, as I just want to emphasize, right, has not been seen before. So you actually called President Trump. You called him directly to ask him about this.
Yeah, we were not on the phone very long. I think our call was about 30 seconds or so. But when I asked him about the wedding photo, he said, he sort of paused for a second and then said, "You've got to be kidding me," before calling CNN fake news and then hanging up on me. Now, in a statement to CNN, White House Communications Director Stephen Chung said this. He said these are nothing more than out of context frame grabs of innocuous videos and pictures of widely attended events to disgustingly infer something nefarious. The fact is that the president kicked him out of his club for being a, quote, creep.
All right. Well, it is incredible reporting, and it is important in this context as the country wants, answers on everything to do with Epstein. Andrew, thank you.
I do love that he said, "You got to be kidding me." I do love that. Burnett, the White House response to us, they said the president was never in Epstein's office. Is that true? Mark Epstein, he was there. Oh, Mark Epstein is back leaking.
Think of this, something that the White House told us yesterday. We talked to a woman who
This is Jeffrey Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein.
Brother of sexual assault. And she also talked about an encounter with Trump at your brother's office. This was in 1995. She found it disturbing. She said she told the FBI twice to look into people around your brother, including Trump. But she talked about this incident that she said happened in his office. And the White House, their response to us, Mark, they were categorical. They said, quote, "The president was never in Epstein's office."
I think he literally thought that, like, if he just said, like, Barack Obama is a black man who did not want me to be president and he cheated, that, like, his base would be like, "Oh, yeah, that's right. Barack Obama is black. That's right. He's a Muslim African president. He's fake president. He did come after our big, beautiful boy." And then they would just like forget about the Epstein stuff and it's just not going away. It's got to be sad because Teflon Donnie has always been able to whip up his base. It seems like the base is more upset about not getting what they were promised rather than the actual pedophilia. Like, it would have been far less impactful on his approval had he not run on it. I mean, it's not just that, because there are certainly a lot of people in the base that cared about this, right? Like, there were definitely people, because he didn't like put it at the forefront of his campaigning, but he did mention it every now and then. I think it's, they literally tie Jeffrey Epstein to the one like actual tangible deep state pedophilia cabal thing that they have believed for years and years. And Trump is supposed to be the great annihilator of the deep state. And now they're having to come to the conclusion that maybe he is deep state himself.
That's just another blatant lie, because he was there. The people that worked for Jeffrey in his office, you can find them. They can testify that they saw Trump in Jeffrey's office on numerous occasions. So for him to say he wasn't there, all I can say is that's just another lie.
Like, for me, I used to always say, like, Trump has less of an involvement post Jeffrey Epstein's arrest with Jeffrey Epstein than like Bill and Hillary Clinton, right? Now, the way that Trump has been behaving makes me feel as though maybe that's not the case. Maybe he does have more involvement because he is very strangely talking about this issue. He's talking about this issue in a really strange way. He's talking about this issue like he's a man who has something to hide. Now that they're also going after the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff and like maybe even angling like a leniency, commuting her sentence or something like that, it's just like, what do you get in return for that? What kind of false testimony will Ghislaine Maxwell make to show her appreciation for potentially her friend, her longtime friend, Donald Trump, releasing her into the wild? I think it's also possible he doesn't give a fuck about what gets released because he knows he's not going to face consequences. Wait, what do you mean? He definitely gives a fuck about what's going to get released because otherwise he would have literally released it. What do you mean? There's one thing you can't say, and that is that Donald Trump does not give a fuck about releasing the Epstein files. More info is going to come out. I think Trump is trying not to step in it by not really saying much. Wall Street Journal is going to drop more for sure. I bet people are going to start snitching once the first shoe drops. Guys, Donald Trump loves to yap. He's gay. Grade A yapper. Like me. Okay? This is the one thing he's not yapping about, dude. Isn't that weird to you? Like, this is also like in the realm of conspiracy. This is his favorite type of to yap about.